Good afternoon, children. Welcome to your English class. Today we are going to deal with the 9th chapter of your textbook. The topic is verbs. Please take page number 50 in your textbook and listen. We have already learnt what is a verb, right? When you hear the word verb, what comes to your mind, children? Yes. Immediately you will answer it as an action word, right? Other than action words, we have already learned about helping verbs, which are am, is, are, was, were, has, have, had. It's not necessary that in sentences we need to have an action word. Sometimes these helping verbs act as a main verb in the sentence. So let's look at in more detail what do you mean by verbs and what are different kinds of verbs. The definition given in your textbook is a verb is a word that is used to denote an action, which you already know, the condition of the subject, or what is possessed by the subject. The condition of the subject means, look at the example here. Harry Potter is an orphan. In this sentence, the verb talks about the condition of the subject. Hope you remember what you mean by subject. What is a subject, children? Yes, a subject is a person or a thing that we talk about in a sentence, or the doer of the action. Okay. So Harry Potter is an orphan. Here the subject is Harry Potter and the verb is, as I said, here the helping verb is acting as a main verb. So is denotes the condition of Harry Potter. He is an orphan. Or what is possessed by the subject. Look at the example here. He has a magical clock. Here the verb has acts as a main verb here. The verb has denotes the possession of the subject, that he has a magical clock. Okay. So in short, other than an action word in sentence, these helping verbs also act as a main verb in some sentences to show the possession or to denote the condition of the subject. Now let's see what do you mean by an object of a verb. If subject is the doer of the action, an object is the receiver of the action. The textbook definition is, we use the word object to talk about the thing or person that the action is done to whom the action is done, or to what the action is done, to whom the action is done. Okay, to whether the action is done to a thing or a person, that is what we call as an object. Otherwise, object is the receiver of the action. You will be more clear when you look at the example. Neha kept the money carefully. What is the subject here? Yes, Neha is the subject. What did she do? She kept the money. So kept is the verb, right? Here kept is the verb. What did she keep? She kept the money. So money is the object. It speaks about what did she keep. So here money is the object. Now let's look at the next example. The little boy is flying a kite. What is the subject here, children? Yes, little boy is the subject, right? What is he doing? He is flying. So is flying is the verb here. Is flying is the verb here. So what is he flying? He is flying a kite. So a kite is the object. He is flying a kite. So, kite is the object in this sentence. Now, let us look at the next example. The teacher praised children. What is the subject here? Yes, teacher is the subject. What did she do? She praised children. So, praised is the verb here. Whom did she praise? Or what did she praise? She praised children. The teacher praised children, right? So, children is the object here. Now, let us look at different kinds of verbs. There are three kinds of verbs. One is transitive verb, intransitive verbs and incomplete. So, in this class you will be learning only two kinds of verbs, which is transitive and intransitive. Now, let us look at what I mean by transitive verb. The textbook definition is a verb which requires an object to complete its meaning is called a transitive verb. A verb which requires an object in a sentence. When you look at the example, you will be more clear, children. Look at this sentence. Seema bought candies. What is the subject here? Yes, Seema is the subject. What is the verb here? Yes, bought is the verb. If I cover up this word, does it make any sense? The sentence would be Seema bought, right? So, it does not give a complete meaning. So, we need an object to give a complete meaning, right? So, that when you read it as Seema bought candies, now the meaning is complete. It gives sense, a complete sense, right? So, here we need an object to give a complete meaning. So, if you need an object to give a complete meaning, such verb is what we call as transitive verb. A verb which requires an object to give a complete meaning is what we call as transitive verb. Let's look at the other example. The girl opened the door. If I cover up this word, does it give a complete meaning? The girl opened. So, that does not make sense, right? So, here we need a support of an object to give a complete meaning. So, here the sentence is complete only with the support of an object, right? So, door is the object here. Door is the object here. And here candies is the object. Okay. So, a verb which requires an object to complete its meaning is what we call as a transitive verb. Now, sometimes in this sentence we have only, in this sentence we have only one object. So, in some sentences we may have two objects, which is a direct object and indirect object. Now, let us see what I mean by direct object. Direct object is usually a thing. It directly talks about to whom the action is done or to what the action is done. Indirect object is normally a person, and it would be always, most probably it would be placed before the direct object. Let us look at the example, children. Rita gave her a pencil. What is the subject here? Yes, Rita is the subject. What is the verb? Yes, gave is the verb, isn't it? Direct object talks about a thing, right? So, what did she give? She gave a pencil. Okay, so what she gave should be the direct object, and then only to whom she gave will come. Okay, to whom she gave? To her. So, that is the indirect object. Let us look at the next example. Grandma baked a cake for me. What is the subject here? Yes, grandma. What is the verb here? Baked. What did she bake? She baked a cake. So, that cake is the direct object. And for whom did she bake? She baked for me. So, me is the indirect object. So, as I said, there would be two objects, sometimes there would be two objects in a sentence, which is direct object and indirect object. Direct object usually talks about a thing, whereas indirect object refers to whom the action is done. It refers to a person and it is normally placed before the direct object. Okay. Now, let us look at the next kind of verb, which is intransitive verb. We learned that for transitive verb, a verb requires an object to complete its meaning. But for intransitive verb, we do not need an object, or we do not need the support of an object to give a complete meaning. For example, my sister shouted. Here, do we have an object, children? No. But this with the subject and verb itself, it gives a complete meaning, right? So, such kind of verb which does not require an object to complete the meaning is what we call as intransitive verb. A verb which does not require an object to complete its meaning but makes a good sense by itself is called an intransitive verb. But makes a good sense by itself means with the subject and verb itself, it gives a complete meaning, it gives a good sense, it makes sense. So, such kind of verb is what we call as intransitive verb. Okay. Look at the next example. The children are studying. What is the subject here? Children. And what is the verb here? Are studying. Do we need the support of an object to complete the meaning of the sentence? No. So, this itself is enough. The subject and verb is enough to give a complete meaning. So, such verb is what we call as intransitive verb. Let us look at one more example. The dog barked. Here, what is the verb, children? Barked. This sentence also gives a complete meaning without the support of an object. So, this is what we call as intransitive verb. Hope you understood the topic, children. All the exercises would be discussed in your Google session. When you do your exercises, you will be more clear with it. Okay? Thank you.